Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, and Internet world. We always doing today. My name is Joe Gaither. This is the Joe Gaither Show. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. I know I'm a little bit later than I was last week, a little bit later than I usually am each and every week, but we had a little work meeting, got to get set up for SEC Media Days next week, so had a little extended conversation. I'm sorry for running the show a little late, but I hope everybody can jump in and join us today as we normally do each and every day right here on BamaCentral's YouTube page and on Facebook and Twitter and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon. Everywhere you get your podcast, you can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate the patience. I had everybody waiting on the show. I'm sorry that we were a little bit behind today. I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you guys go out and follow BamaCentral at BamaCentral.com. Check out all of our great work at BamaCentral.com. I've got my man Chris Walsh and Katie Wyndham, Austin Hannon, Blake Byler, everybody putting out great content around the Alabama Crimson Tide. Make sure you listen and subscribe to our other BamaCentral podcasts. We've got Blue Collar Unplugged with Matthew Gibson, Blake Byler, and Jacob Pickle. And then we've got our friends Austin Hannon and Katie Wyndham doing all things Bama. So make sure you check out those other podcasts as well. We're going to have, hopefully, a fun show on a Friday. It's Friday. It's a little overcast outside. Hopefully, the weekend weather goes well so everybody can enjoy the weekend. We are 50 days away from Alabama kicking off against MTSU. And, man, I cannot wait for that. And not only that, 50 days away from Alabama MTSU, we are, 5 days away from SEC Media Days, Alabama Day next Wednesday, and I cannot wait to be up in Nashville. I'm going to be up in Nashville for my first SEC Media Days in person. I've been covering from our home base at my previous job, but cannot wait to get to Nashville next week with Austin and Katie and Blake, and we're going to cover all things Alabama next Wednesday. I got to sign Kool-Aid McKinstry. Cannot wait to see what Kool-Aid is up to all day on Wednesday. Try to see if we can't bring you some good stories. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to Kool-Aid, JC Latham, and Dallas Turner right here on the Joe Gaither Show. And you never know who else we'll run into up at SEC Media Days. Pray for a little bit of courage to talk to some strangers and try to invite them onto the show. So we will have a great week next week on the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We've had a fun week already. On Monday, we talked to Julian Sayin, 5-star quarterback from Carlsbad, California, already committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 1 quarterback in the country in the 2024 class. Julian joined us on Monday to talk about 40 minutes or so about his career, his recruitment, and kind of his goals going forward. I enjoyed that conversation with Julian on Monday. If you wanted to hear from Joseph Ionata, we had Joseph Ionata yesterday, 2024 offensive lineman, join us from Clearwater, Florida, Calvary Christian School. Really appreciate both those guys, Joseph Ionata and Julian Sayin, joining us this week. Hopefully, we're going to get in contact with Casey Poe, with Justin Okoronkwo, some of these corners. We've got more recruits to bring onto this show, so hopefully we will do that in the coming weeks. Very, very thankful for everybody who's participated in the show so far and everybody who supported those recruits coming on the show so far as well. So what are we going to do for today? I know I'm a little bit late. I've got 2 topics for you today. One of them that I promised you all week. I promised all week that we were going to rank the SEC quarterbacks going into the 2023 season. And I thought, in my setup through the week, I said, no way is Jalen Milroe going to be 8-9, going to be 9-10, going to be 11-12. No way is the Alabama quarterback going to be lower than 5. Ooh. I think I lied to you guys. I think I misled you, and I apologize for that because that's never my intention. I went through and looked through some film, looked at stats, looked at previous stops. There's a couple transfer quarterbacks coming into the SEC this year, so we looked at really the last couple of seasons and tried to our best project how the quarterbacks will stack up in the SEC this year. We'll do that second. Let's talk about some breaking news first. Some breaking news, some news that was expected. A story has finally come to a conclusion. Up there in Knoxville, where you remember Tennessee fired Jeremy Pruitt after a lackluster tenure, and Tennessee was given their sanctions today. And let's talk about them real quick. Tennessee given their sanctions today. First off, the penalties for Tennessee, the penalties for the University of Tennessee were what? 5 years probation and a reduction of football scholarships by 28 over the term of over the term of the 5 years. So what's that? 2 scholarships a year. It's basically 28 by 5 is 6 scholarships or so a season. At least 2 scholarships every year. But you have to do, but they have to turn it out to be 28 over the course of 5 years. So Tennessee is going to go a little bit on a scholarship reduction. They are on probation. They are not having a postseason bowl ban, and they are paying the NCAA an $8 million fine. $8 million is believed to be the largest fine levied against by the NCAA Infractions Committee ever. And they have calculated that $8 million based on based on the profits, based on what Tennessee would make off of 2 seasons in postseason play, 2023 and then next year in 2024. So if they had suspended suspended the current team from postseason play for 2 seasons, it would roughly cost Tennessee $8 million. Well, they're not going to take away the Tennessee opportunity to play in the postseason, but instead they are going to pay the punitive fines. What does that do? Well, it punishes the university. It doesn't punish the current student athletes who were not really involved in some of the scandals, some of the allegations. I think that's probably for the best. But let's talk about Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt is the big focus here because, look, all you guys are Alabama fans, and if you're not Alabama fans and you're watching me, you're an SEC fan, so you understand kind of where Jeremy Pruitt falls in the Alabama relationships. Obviously, came up through the Alabama high school system, came up through really compliance and player development on the Nick Saban staff, got himself into a position coach, made himself into a defensive coordinator, bounced around from Alabama to Florida State to Georgia, back to Alabama. Great defensive coordinator. Great defensive coordinator, we'll be honest. And then obviously he went to Tennessee and flamed out. Look, Jeremy Pruitt, these allegations, these stories that are around that have come out, they're flabbergasted. They're egregious. They're horrible. They're absolutely brazen. They're extremely brazen because Jeremy Pruitt, look, I get it. You want to be competitive. You want to get a leg up on your competition. But some of these acts, some of these stories that have come out, some of the details that have come out around the Jeremy Pruitt, around the scandal. I mean, most of it centers around COVID-19 and Tennessee football not respecting the rules of that the NCAA put in place for COVID-19. Look, I know everybody feels one way or the other about COVID-19, and you're welcome to feel whatever way that you want to feel about COVID-19. But the fact of the matter is, all of college football shut down, at least recruiting-wise, during COVID-19. We all know that Alabama had to alter its strategy, really get on the Zoom call, really create a Zoom package for their recruits. And Coach Saban's talked about how much he loves getting back to in-person recruiting because it helps him learn the players, get to know the players, get to know the families, and create better relationships. But for a time, Coach Saban and all of college football was recruiting on Zoom. All of college football, except for, it seems, the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, look, I'm not here to sit here and say COVID-19 was super deadly or was super terrible or was amazing. Like, I'm not here to fight any conspiracies. But what I am here to say is all of college football adhered to the rules. Everybody said, we're not going to invite the players on campus. We're not going to have in-person recruiting. It's not good for society. It's best if everybody shuts down. We're going to limit the travel. Look, the whole country was shut down. The whole country was taking precautions and taking precautions based off of the inherent fear and the effect of COVID-19. But not Tennessee. Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt. I don't know if Jeremy Pruitt just thought to himself that COVID's no big deal, or if he just thought that this was a chance to get one up on college football. Look, Nick Saban's stuck at home. They can't go to Tuscaloosa. Let's get them all into Knoxville. Now, players still could go to campus, but you couldn't have. It was basically a dead period, like it is currently right now in NCAA football. It's a dead period till July 26th. Recruits can go on campus, but you can't talk to Nick Saban, and Alabama can't pay for it if you come to campus right now. Same thing that was happening in 2020 during during the pandemic. College football shut down. You can go on campus if you want, but you can't talk to the coaches. The coaches can't pay for your visits. No. Jeremy Pruitt was footing the bill for visits, was paying for hotel rooms in cash, and not only Jeremy Pruitt, it seems like the entire staff was in on it. And so here's kind of like, I have multiple issues here with the Jeremy Pruitt angle. One, I think that Tennessee football was in on it from the jump. I think Tennessee football kind of had this culture of brazen rules of, hey, we're not going to follow the rules. These rules don't apply to us. And maybe it was Jeremy Pruitt's fault. Maybe it was Fat Philip Fulmer's fault. Maybe it was just the culture of Tennessee athletics. You read the NCAA memo, and you can look at, you can kind of read the highlights on BamaCentral.com. We've already posted an article about these sanctions and about the fallout from today's news on BamaCentral.com. But you read NCAA, you read on the NCAA.org their report. They talk about head coach's responsibility, unethical conduct, failure to monitor. Essentially, the entire staff was in on paying for recruiting visits that were not allowed to be paid for. Look, if you're taking an official visit onto campus, Alabama foots the bill for that. You come to campus, we got your hotel room, we got your meals, we got your entertainment, but you only get one official visit for each school. At the 2 years ago, 2 years ago you had athletes only limited to 5 official visits per recruitment, so you can only check out 5 schools on their dime. Every other visit had to be unofficial, had to be on your parents' dime, had to be on your coach's dime, had to be on your own dime. And so Tennessee says, "Oh, we're going to get around this. We're going to call these visits unofficial. We're going to say recruit X, Y, or Z is coming to town on an unofficial visit, and we're not going to see him. The coaches are not going to have any interaction with him, but we're basically going to stick a spy or stick an assistant or just anyone around the program to follow them around Knoxville and pay for stuff behind their backs." What? I mean, Coach Pruitt, look, you're not an idiot, or I didn't think you were an idiot, but these allegations, these stories are so flying in the face of the NCAA. I mean, we heard, a year and change ago, McDonald's bags. We heard we got McDonald's bags full of money, and that was one thing. And that was like, come on, Coach, there's no way that is real. Coach comes out and Coach Pruitt says, "Oh, I had no knowledge of any of these allegations." That's why he basically took Tennessee to court, because he wanted to get that $12 million. He wanted to get his $12 million buyout, and Tennessee said, "Heck no." Now, my issue with Tennessee is I think they created this complication. They created this atmosphere. They created this this attitude of noncompliance. And then when Jeremy Pruitt wasn't winning, when he wasn't beating Alabama, when he wasn't winning in the East, they said, "Oh, here's our opportunity to fire this man. Here's our opportunity to let him go and save some money in the process. Here's our opportunity to wipe the slate, cut the slate clean, and really reset the program without paying Jeremy Pruitt $12 million." Look, I think Tennessee, Philip Fulmer was in on it. And look, this is speculation. This is just what I feel down from Tennessee, down in Tuscaloosa. So you got to understand a little bit of bias there. I'm not excusing Jeremy Pruitt, not at all. Not excusing Jeremy Pruitt and his actions. They're laughably stupid. They're on par with Brad Bohannon's stupidity that we talked about earlier in the week. They are literally on par with that. How do you expect? I mean, you read through this story. You read through these stories. Prospect number 1 is named here. They don't use any of the prospects' names because they're protecting the identities of the players. But prospect 1, a player's mother wanted a new car and was given $6,000 in cash, intended to be a down payment. And then subsequently, Jeremy Pruitt's wife was giving the mother $500 each month on at least 25 occasions. I'm sorry. Look, I love NIL. I love the players getting their money. Yeah, Taylor, I'm going to address your comment in just a minute. Once I get off my brain here, my man Taylor Gibson is a Tennessee fan, so he's going to come in probably with a separate perspective, and that is A-okay. That's absolutely welcome. We love all perspectives. Okay, yeah. So back to player number 1. Player number 1. I love NIL. I do. I think that players that you're very valuable. I mean, look, Nico Iamaleava already kind of given that $8 million promise. Look, the rules were different. The rules got changed. I love Nico Iamaleava getting his $8 million. Does it stink that I think he's going to play in Tennessee and be very, very, very good? Yes, I do. I think he's going to be really good. But he's obviously worth that money. Pruitt, you're very dumb. So stupid. You're just going to give six grand and just think, oh, we're going to get away with it. All this stuff is in cash. All this stuff happens in cash. You go through records and indicate a different prospect. Prospect number 2 needs money for a medical bill. And look, I understand the healthcare in this country is awful. The healthcare system in this country is messed up beyond belief. So look, Coach Pruitt probably felt like, look, I've got extra money. You all know how much money coaches make. You all know how much money these guys are swimming in money. Look, he probably thinks $3,000 for a medical bill. I can help a player's mother and really impact his family in a positive way. Look, the intentions are good. The intentions are good. But it's just unbelievable how brazen Jeremy Pruitt, how brazen he and his whole staff are. You look at it, I'm reading KnoxNews.com, reading our friend Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. He outlines 12 text messages, and I really will encourage you guys to read his article because it makes Jeremy Pruitt seem like an idiot. It makes him seem like a scoundrel, honestly. It makes him seem like a scoundrel. And I don't really think that's who he is. I don't really think that's how he is. But, okay, so in these text messages, basically it outlines that Pruitt knew exactly what was going on. Pruitt said after he was fired, I had no idea about any of this. It's a lie. Text messages prove it's a lie. And then he goes, like, this is his second text message. Oh, don't text like that on school phones. From one assistant coach to another, talking about quality control, talking about paying for unofficial visits. Don't text like that on school phones. You know what you don't put on cell phones? You don't put illegal stuff. And if I know it's illegal, hey man, don't message me that. You know what you're doing is wrong. You know what you're doing. It's absolutely unbelievable. Hey, let me bring a Tennessee fan and his perspective in a comment. My man, Taylor Gibson. I love you, Taylor. Thanks for participating. He says, my brother in Christ. How does it make sense that they found brazen attempts at violations on the part of Pruitt and staff members but didn't find evidence at the top of the administration? It's the culture. It's the culture that's in play here. If you're reading the NCAA.org post, it essentially talks about the compliance, the failure to monitor, and the compliance. Failure at Tennessee was cultural, the panel said. It was a failure of all stakeholders to embrace the shared responsibility of monitoring and compliance and to create a culture where these responsibilities were prioritized and rewarded. This simply cannot be the responsibility of the compliance staff. So look, the NCAA is telling you right there, Taylor. Sorry, Tennessee fans are telling you right there, Taylor. However, the panel determined that despite the compliance department's efforts, the compliance departments are trying to say, hey, guys, this is not right. This is illegal. You can't do this. And Jeremy Pruitt and his staff are creating second ledgers to fool the compliance departments. And why are they? Where are they getting these ideas from? Where are they getting these monies from? Where are they getting financial backing from? Surely it's not all Jeremy Pruitt's money. Let's be honest. Surely it's not all Jeremy Pruitt's money. He talked about earlier in this report. He talks about boosters' involvement. So like it is a community-wide problem. It was a community-wide problem in Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, you go to the very bottom of the NCAA.org report that they put out, and they commend Tennessee. They do. They commend Tennessee for self-imposing reductions. 12 days in the fall 21, 8 days in the spring of 22. The spring can they essentially credit Tennessee's involvement in the investigation. And that's why I think Tennessee hung Jeremy Pruitt out to dry. And that's why I think Tennessee thinks, oh, you aren't winning. This is an easy opportunity for us to cut bait and get rid of you and not pay you $12 million. All right, so my man Taylor, probably not a bad perspective. In my humble opinion, Pruitt's administration culture of noncompliance didn't begin at Tennessee. Probably a little insinuation there at Alabama. Jeremy Pruitt's been everywhere. Did he learn it from Nick Saban? Did he learn it from Mark Richt? Did he learn it from, who was it, Jimbo Fisher? Or is it just something he's picked up a little bit from everywhere? You can't really say. You can't really know. It's hard to say. Now, what happens to Jeremy Pruitt? Look, all you Alabama fans wanted Jeremy Pruitt to be the defensive coordinator this year. It's not going to happen. You're not getting. We hired Kevin Steele. I think that's going to be a solid hire. He's going to get one more year in the Alabama school system, become vested in the school system. Look, I think Kevin Steele is going to present a very strong, very aggressive, very fundamentally sound defense. Would you probably have rather had Jeremy Pruitt? Okay, I'll give you that. You probably would have. But Jeremy Pruitt is toxic as anything. You cannot touch him right now. He's not even qualified. He's not even qualified eligible for Nick Saban's rehab program. You can't do it. Him and Pat Fitzgerald, the Northwestern head coach, are unqualified. They got to go spend some time in timeout before they can get enrolled in Nick Saban's rehab program. Now, Coach Pruitt got a 6-year show cause penalty. 6 years, and with a 1-year suspension. So if he's hired right now by Alabama, by Montana State, by Tennessee Tech, by whoever in the world, doesn't matter, whatever school, he's going to be suspended for 1 year. You've hired him. He's got to sit out for 1 year anyways. My man Taylor continues, guilty coaches out, assistants out, players who benefited out, old compliance staff out. And as soon as Plowman found out what was going on, she cleaned house. Look, Tennessee is getting credit in this NCAA report. Let's just read the fallout. We'll read the fallout here. Penalties, 5-year probation, a reduction in football scholarships. We've already hit that. Tennessee previously self-imposed and is credited with 16 scholarship reductions already, based off their response. Boom. Tennessee previously self-imposed and is credited with a reduction of 7 official visits. And the school can be credited for any reductions in visits for this coming season. So Tennessee's already taken some steps. Tennessee previously self-imposed and is credited with a 6-week reduction in 21 and a 2-week reduction during 22. The school can be credited for additional reductions, including regular season home games during the 23 academic year. So look, if Tennessee continues to, punish themselves a little bit, monitor themselves a little bit, they're going to get out of this probation. They are. And that's fine. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag from an Alabama perspective. It's a mixed bag from a college football perspective. You have one hand that, Tennessee, or how much were they really involved? I mean, look, Phil Fulmer, you go a long, long, long way back with Alabama fans and scandal. You do. It doesn't. I mean, somebody turned in Alabama and Albert Means, and everybody was trying to pay Albert Means. Let's be honest about that. So you go a long way back. Now, Fulmer has departed from the program, has been kind of moved on from his athletic director role. It's a mixed bag. Now, for the Alabama fans, look, I know you all wanted Jeremy Pruitt to restore the Alabama defense and get back to head hunting and this, that, and the other. Kevin Steele is going to do just fine. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be a good coach. And if Jeremy Pruitt is still out there in 12 months and Kevin Steele, retires, takes his retirement, his vesting in the Alabama education system, Jeremy Pruitt will be right there waiting on you. I don't think that, look, people after 3-4 months ago when Pete Golding was being courted by Ole Miss and then eventually went to Ole Miss, people said, "Oh, we got to get Jeremy Pruitt back. Be all end all." He's not the only defensive coach in the world. So it's not. I don't think it's that desperate to bring Jeremy Pruitt back into Tuscaloosa. All right, my man Taylor chiming in. You got Kevin Steele of a DC. Yeah, I like Kevin Steele. I do. I like Kevin Steele. And look, let's put a huge bow on this. Tennessee wins here. Tennessee wins here because they saved $4 million. Tennessee wins here because they upgraded at a head coach. And whether they did it on purpose, whether it was a culture of, hey, we've let Jeremy Pruitt kind of skirt the rules, and now that he's not winning, we're turning him in. We're kind of pulling the wool out from him. A little Jon Snow, where, hey, it's his fault. Whether it's that or whether it was really and truly, hey, we didn't know this was going on, and we don't like this being a part of our program. Tennessee wins. They save $4 million. They save $4 million. They've upgraded it at the head coach. They're now into NIL legally, as every college football program is. And so for Tennessee fans, what matters? Nothing matters at this point. And you look at these scholarship reductions. You look at the scholarship reductions that they get in the penalties. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter with NIL anymore. The scholarship reduction do not matter anymore because of NIL. If I have one empty scholarship, but I have a donor who can provide a $35,000 NIL package or a $40,000 NIL package, that's basically equivalent to a scholarship. So I don't really think that Tennessee is getting penalized too much. Obviously, $8 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but not to a university who is swimming in money. I believe Tennessee was over $100 million in revenue and athletic revenue this past season, much like a lot of the other big-time college athletic programs are. $8 million, it stings a little bit, but it's going to be okay. And Tennessee ends up the winner. I really do think that. I think Tennessee ends up the winner, and people can complain about, oh, Tennessee, blah, blah, blah. I think all the complaints, some are valid, some are not, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Tennessee is going to go forward with Josh Heupel, moving forward and really going to compete in the SEC East. Look, I love Jeremy Pruitt as a kind of a recruiter, kind of a guy, seems like a good go-getter, but he was a failure, absolute failure as a head coach at Tennessee. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Taylor, you're right. No, that is correct. The big thing is that the current coaches and players who aren't involved don't suffer. And I think that's a good thing, a good step that the NCAA is starting to take. You've started to see that become more and more of a trend when schools get in trouble. Hey, let's financially penalize. Let's give you retroactive scholarship penalties. I saw Peter Burns from the SEC Network. Look, I hate the scholarship reduction as a penalty. And I absolutely hate vacated wins because, look, we all watched those games and saw the winners and the losers. I know Reggie Bush won the Heisman Trophy in 2005. If you want to punish these schools by not punish the athletes who are not involved, what you do, Peter Burns tweeted it earlier from the SEC Network, you limit their access to the transfer portal. And brutal punishment that would be. Absolutely. If you can't have any access to the transfer portal for a year, you can't bring in transfers, you're stuck. I mean, one, you have to focus on high school guys, but think about Alabama. If Alabama gets in trouble and you limit our access to the transfer portal this coming season, you didn't have who all do we bring in? You don't have oh my gosh. You hit the portal and you brought in Tyler Buckner. You hit the portal, and obviously 2 years ago you brought in Jermaine Burton. You brought in Tyler Steen 2 seasons ago. We've been making hay off transfer portal as you brought in Eli Ricks, you brought in Trey Amos, you brought in Jalen Key, you brought in a lot of transfers over the last couple of seasons. If a program is cheating and the new way to punish them is to limit their access to the transfer portal, I think that would be highly effective. I do, because look, NIL can mitigate any scholarship loss. If I'm Texas and you take away all 25 of my scholarships every year, I promise you the Texas boosters can fork over the money that is worth those 25 scholarships. The NIL has really eliminated scholarship reduction, in my opinion, as a viable punishment. But Peter Burns, give you a lot of credit from the SEC Network, talks about maybe the right response is to limit schools' ability to utilize the transfer portal if they're cheating. Now, will that mean you have to focus on recruiting high school players? Sure. But you don't get those stopgap. Easy plug and play fill-ins. Those Jahmyr Gibbs that come right in and lead your offense. Those Jamison Williams that come in and electrify your offense. I think that would be an excellent way to work out punishment. Because look, I am with Taylor. I'm absolutely with Taylor in the fact that if Josh Heupel wasn't cheating, if Joe Milton wasn't cheating, if the Tennessee fans, the Tennessee athletes that are currently on the roster are not cheating, don't punish them. They had no involvement with secret payments. They had no involvement with unofficial paid visits. And look, that's a whole other separate issue. If a university wants to pay for a visit, that should be legal. Come on. I know you work about parity. Oh, you can only have 5 official visits, and we got to limit the official visits. Now, look, I believe last year the NCAA lifted the restrictions on official visits. I believe so. I think that's absolutely stupid. If you want to come to Knoxville, if you want to come to Tuscaloosa, Athens, Gainesville, wherever, and visit my school, I should be allowed to put you up in a hotel room. I should be allowed to pay for your dinner. I should be allowed to, help you out on your visit to school. Now, I guess that's a separate issue. NCAA full of separate issues, full of weird rules and separate rules. But there we are. That's kind of where we're standing with Tennessee. You're not going to see Jeremy Pruitt for a while, guys. Jeremy Pruitt probably going to be coaching in Northeast Alabama High School. Sorry. He's probably going to be coaching around Sand Mountain, around Scottsboro, around where I am from, at Northeast Alabama High School. I believe he'll be up there. and still involved in football in that fashion. Now, do I hope that life works out well for Jeremy Pruitt and things go well for him? Sure, absolutely. I got no ill will for the guy. But as Alabama fans, let's let that ship sail. Let's let that ship sail. Let's enjoy Kevin Steele, and let's focus on the 2023 defense. Because I think that if you go into 2023 watching the defense, let's say first week, and you're watching MTSU, or second week, and by all means, second week when Texas comes to town, their offense is going to look good. They're going to score some points. Don't be in that second week. Well, if the NCAA hadn't screwed over Jeremy Pruitt. No, man, he put himself in his own spot. I don't know if cheating is going on in other universities. I'm not going to insinuate that. But what we do know from the report here is that rampant, brazen, abhorrent cheating was going on in Knoxville under the Jeremy Pruitt reign. And so look, don't go into this week. If we'd only gotten Jeremy Pruitt. No, the NCAA didn't pass it, didn't slap him on the wrist, didn't give him this punishment to keep him out of Alabama, didn't give him this punishment because of Alabama fatigue. No, they gave him this punishment because he earned it. It has nothing to do with Alabama. It has nothing to do with punishing Nick Saban or punishing the future of the Alabama Crimson Tide. No, Jeremy Pruitt put himself in this position, and Jeremy Pruitt will pay the price, and Alabama will move on and be fine with or without him in the future. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. We will be, look, this is going to be a hot button issue all week next week. I imagine, even though Josh Heupel had nothing to do with it. No. Jeremy Pruitt is not an assistant in the NFL, Taylor. He was with the Giants. He's left the Giants now. At least double check that. He spent 1 year with the Giants. I believe he's out of football. Now I have to double check it. I am 99% sure he is out of football. Yeah. He was with the New York Giants in 2021. He has been out of football since 2021. Which, he's doing just fine. He's doing just fine money wise. Even losing the $12 million buyout, even not getting the $12 million buyout at Tennessee, he's doing just fine, financially speaking. If he is smart with his money, if he doesn't blow it all over the place, which I don't think that he would be. So look, so that's going to do it for the Tennessee segment, Jeremy Pruitt segment. Let's not make Jeremy Pruitt a thing all year long, Alabama fans. Let's be happy with what we have. I think Kevin Steele is going to be a great defensive coordinator for us this year. I think for us to worry about what Jeremy Pruitt might do is wasting your time and is wasting your energy. And obviously, Josh Heupel, he is going to be asked about this next week. Tennessee fans and Tennessee administration is going to be asked about this next week at SEC Media Days. And I'm sure the story will continue to develop going forward. Now, let's play a game. Let's play a game that I promised you earlier in the week. And please chime in, Taylor. I see you playing. You're going to like my order here. You're going to like my game here. We're going to play a game. We're going to rank the 14 SEC quarterbacks going into the season. We're first and foremost, we're predicting who's going to be the starter. Most of the starters are pretty much obvious. Most of them are obvious and in place. So it's not like there's going to be a ton of guesswork here. But what did I do? I went out there and looked at the 14 quarterbacks that are projected to be the starting quarterbacks in the SEC this year. And in my opinion, I think I ranked all 14. You guys can disagree with my opinions going into the year. I'm projecting going forward who's going to be the best in the conference. And so let's see how I can do this while hitting my sound effects at the same time. Can I hit my sound effects at the same time and have my list? Let's see, a little computer jimmying up here. Oh, I used to have a producer on the Joe Gaither show at my old job, but it's all good. We're right. All right, perfect. Here we go. I have from 14 to 1, the 14 quarterbacks in the SEC. All right, pretty obvious, pretty easy. We're going to start number 14, A.J. Swan. A.J. Swan, Vanderbilt sophomore. All right, sorry, Vanderbilt. Yes, you have the worst starting quarterback going into the 2023 season. A.J. Swan, 1,274 yards last year, 58% completion, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Yes, he was a part-time player, so that's why some of those numbers look a little small, look a little low. But A.J. Swan looks like, in my opinion, a fine quarterback, but not a really talented, not anything that anybody's going to write home about. He's not going to be beating Georgia. He's not going to be beating Tennessee. He's not going to, he might compete with Kentucky, but I don't see a player who's really going to transcend his position. There's not really anything about AJ Swann that I saw that I thought, oh wow, that guy is going to be something to game plan for. That guy's going to be something to prepare for. So AJ Swann, unfortunately, sorry bud, no disrespect to you, but I'm giving you number 14. Number 13, I'm going with Brady Cook. Brady Cook, quarterback from Missouri. He is a rising senior. Last year threw for 2,739 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Brady Cook is a statue in the pocket. Brady Cook, had a nice little arm, but I don't really think you present any real difficulty. Missouri, you're going to have to be running the football a lot. Brady Cook. Now look, Eli Drinkwitz, I might see him differently. I think Eli Drinkwitz is kind of an offensive wizard. I think he does get the best out of his players. Now, Missouri, not really known for offensive talent, but I do like Eli Drinkwitz's style, and I do like his quirky nature to football, and I think that he does kind of present a second look, kind of present a secondary view of offensive football, and I just like Eli Drinkwitz for his outlook. So, but Brady Cook, I'm sorry, you ain't who was the quarterback who went Drew Lock. You're no Drew Lock at Missouri. You're coming in at number 13. Number 12 is a quarterback Alabama is familiar with. Number 12, Connor Wigman. Number 12, Connor Wigman, Texas A&M sophomore. You guys all saw him make his first start here in Bryant-Denny Stadium last season, losing to Alabama, but throwing into the end zone with a couple of minutes left, trying to win the game. Connor Wigman, 896 yards, almost 900 yards, 55% completion, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now you love the touchdown to interception ratio. If you're anyone, you love that so much. But I don't know that Connor Wigman. I don't know. The problem is when I'm looking at this list of 14 players, I see a lot of talent. A ton of talent. So that's why that's where I'm having difficulty. We're splitting hairs here. You remember earlier in the week I said, no way am I going to put the Alabama quarterback at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's no way. But I almost did. As I'm going through this list. I think Connor Wigman is a good little arm. Now it's going to be very interesting to see how he matures and how he operates the Bobby Petrino offense. I know that Jimbo Fisher's trying to modernize himself. And so Bobby Petrino, will he get the reins? Will he be able to run the offense? Or will Jimbo be in his ear saying, do this, do that, do that? So Connor Wigman coming in at number 12. Number 11 is a quarterback that we will all be familiar with soon, is Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne transferred from Michigan State to Auburn. Senior quarterback, 2,600 yards last year, 62% completion in the Big 12, 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And do I see a quarterback that Gus Malzahn can work with? Yes. Do I see Gus Malzahn's most favorite style quarterback? No. I think that Peyton Thorne can throw the football, has a decent little arm. Now, at Michigan State, you're making some bad decisions under pressure against bigger teams like Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. I think that you're getting a B plus level transfer. I mean, look, Auburn, you're obviously a lot better than what you were walking in with. Who was the daggum kid that just left from LSU? Left from LSU, and then the other kid from Texas A&M. Those two guys were I'm drawing blanks on their name. Those two guys were not good. You weren't going to win anything with them. So what did Gus Malzahn do? Gus Malzahn went out and got a competent quarterback, somebody who has a lot of college football experience, high level college football experience. And so I think that he will look. People are not expecting a whole lot out of Auburn this year. I think you're going to get nice 500. You're going to get a couple of wins that Gus Malzahn was not expecting to get. Ideally, hopefully, it's not against Alabama down there on the plains. You guys can read right now the early game preview against Auburn is on BamaCentral's website this morning. We put that up. Mr. Austin Hannon writing that for us. Look, we all know struggles. First year coaches going down to Auburn. Will Gus Malzahn be able to use Peyton Thorne to get the victory? I say no, but I do think Peyton Thorne will be more effective than the previous two quarterbacks that Auburn had. Now, number 10, we continue with our transfers, and we're going to go with Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz is a transfer from Wisconsin, another Big Ten boy, transferring to Florida. Graham Mertz, 2,100 yards, 57% completion, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions last year for Wisconsin. You're not going to get Anthony Richardson's athleticism. No, you're not getting that out of him, but you are getting a more accurate passer. You're getting a more accurate passer than Anthony Richardson. And dude, I don't know what the Indianapolis Colts are doing drafting Anthony Richardson, 3, 4, 5, somewhere right there. I think that's going to blow up in their face. I think that's going to absolutely, and maybe he's going to make me a fool. But I predict that Anthony Richardson is going to be a pretty poor NFL quarterback due to his poor decision-making and poor accuracy. Now, Graham Mertz, this year for Florida, might operate the Florida offense a bit better due to his accuracy. I think his accuracy is better than Anthony Richardson's was. Now, not as fast, not as athletic. Obviously, come on now. But Graham Mertz, I have you at number 10. I think that people are expecting Florida to have a pretty bad season. I don't know if it's going to be as bad enough to be bad. I don't think it's going to be. You're not going to be better than third in the West, or third in the East, excuse me. But I don't think it's going to be truly out and out bad. Now, number nine, I'm going to go with Spencer Rattler. One-time Heisman Trophy contender, Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Look, that's why this gets so hard. From 9 all the way to 1, the quarterbacks are incredible. The quarterback, the talent is special, I think. So Spencer Rattler last year, he goes for 3,000 yards, 66% completion, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, careless with the football. That's why I've got him ranked a little lower. Careless with the football, a little bit erratic with his decision-making, and a little bit wild running around in the pocket. Now, if you've got good Spencer Rattler, watch out. He can beat anybody. He can beat anybody in college football. Look, he showed it last year against Tennessee, and then obviously had a great had a shootout against Notre Dame, and I believe South Carolina beat Clemson also. So they're coming off some highs. I just don't think that Spencer Rattler consistently, game in and game out, would be a quarterback that can take South Carolina up into the upper echelon of the SEC West. I think he's exciting. I think he's fun to watch, but I think he's a little bit reckless, and so that's why I've got him ranked right there at number 9. Number 8, we continue on number 8. It is another transfer on the list. It is Devin Leary. Devin Leary at number 8. Number 8 for he transferred from NC State. And look, I got to credit my man Chris Walsh and Austin Hannon. I had Devin Leary much lower on this list as of about an hour ago. And those guys said, hey, man, you got to go back and rewatch him. I looked at Devin Leary's last season at NC State, and Chris Walsh promptly and correctly pointed out that he was hurt last season and didn't play a full year. 1,200 yards, 61% completion, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions for the NC State Wolfpack. Going to be a super senior for the Kentucky Wildcats. 35 touchdowns a year prior for Devin Leary. So I had to move him up a little bit for the 35 touchdowns. Can sling the football down the field. Now, look, his NC State tape was a lot of screens, a lot of bombs, watching players go up and make plays for him. And maybe he will continue that success at Kentucky. Maybe he'll have great athletes down the field. I think that I wasn't overly impressed, but I have to slow myself down and really admit that I watched a year where he was injured, or I watched some highlights and some tape where he was injured, not where he was fully healthy. So we'll see what he can do following in Will Levis's footsteps at Kentucky. All right, here you go, Alabama fans. Number 7. Jalen Milroe. Yes, I have Jalen Milroe at number 7, halfway in the middle of the conference. And that's due to a lot of unknowns. Now, look, a lot of people are wondering if Jalen Milroe will even be the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama, or if it'll be Tyler Buchner or Ty Simpson. I think the Alabama coaching staff expected Ty Simpson to win the job in the spring, and when he didn't do that, you brought in Tyler Buchner. I think Jalen Milroe still walks into the season as the starter. I do. And I think he's going to hold on to that job throughout the year. I think that when Coach Saban talks about winning the team and leading the team, I think that that's exactly what Jalen Milroe has been doing this season, this offseason. You look at a lot of his social media stuff. They're getting players together down in Florida. They're working out together. I think, now look, Ty Simpson's working his tail off too. No disrespect or detraction from Ty Simpson or Tyler Buchner. I just think that Jalen Milroe is going to fit the Tommy Rees offense like a glove. Now, you look at his numbers last year, not good. Run 297 passing yards, 58% completion, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. able to run the ball, almost 300 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. We know how explosive Jalen Milroe was. You watched him in the Texas A&M game, basically pull down, roll out, pull down, and scramble for 8 yards. Roll out, pull down, and scramble for 15 yards. The man is an incredible athlete. And so I ask you guys, I wonder, was Lamar Jackson incredibly accurate at Louisville? Was he a great passer at Louisville? Now, Lamar Jackson has improved, obviously, as a passer. Absolutely improved as a passer. Jalen Milroe, I wonder if he and Lamar Jackson are neck and neck similar players, because I recognize Jalen Milroe, golly, your passing mechanics last season were awful, atrocious, not fun to watch from a football fan. And I want it to be fun. I want to cheer for you. I want to compliment you. But let's be honest, your mechanics were not good. So what's 6 months? What's 9 months of mechanic work? I think that you will improve in that area over these 6 and 9 months. The other difference from that Texas A&M start and that Arkansas subbing into the Arkansas game, the difference is I think these game plans will be tailored around Jalen Milroe. I think these game plans will be suiting Jalen Milroe's skill set much better than the Texas A&M game. I'm sorry, Bill O'Brien, people can agree or disagree if he was a good or bad offensive coordinator, but I think he absolutely sabotaged Jalen Milroe's success in the Texas A&M game. I felt like we called a Bryce Young ball game. My people, my sources, my whisperers told me that Bryce Young took all of these snaps during that week of practice, that Bryce Young played as the number 1 quarterback during that entire week of practice, and it was only on that Saturday that Jalen Milroe was named the starter. Horrible. Just horrible. It makes my mind blown thinking about the preparation that Nick Saban how he usually prepares, and it makes me think that there's no way that Nick Saban did that, but that's what everybody said. That's what everybody told me all week long. Bryce Young took all those starting snaps, and the game plan was for Bryce Young to start against A&M, and then Jalen Milroe thrown in early on that Saturday. So maybe that had to do with how shaky he looked. But dude, his athleticism, he's got a cannon for an arm. I think that Jalen Milroe is going to surprise some people, but I cannot rank him any higher than halfway up in the conference. I can't, because look at this conference. Oh my gosh, the talent in the top 6 is disgusting. It's incredible. The talent in the top 6. The SEC is going to be a very good quarterback league this year. Absolutely. We're going to have a great quarterback play, and well, golly, you better hope Kevin Steele has a great defense, because these quarterbacks are going to be very tough to start. Let's keep it going. Number six is Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Dart makes my number 6 quarterback in the league, senior, almost 3,000 yards passing last year, 62% completion, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think that he presents a quarterback that he's not quite the Bo Wallace kind of look that Ole Miss would used to feel. But he's close. Obviously, Lane Kiffin is an amazing offensive coordinator. I think Lane Kiffin's going to put him in great positions. Quinshon Judkins next to him. The Alabama boy is going to be running his tail off. I think Jackson Dart is just talented enough to beat somebody he's not supposed to beat. Just talented enough to maybe beat a team like an LSU, like an Alabama, like a Georgia. Just talented enough to hang in there and have a great performance and really write his name kind of in Ole Miss history. I think Jackson Dart's a good little quarterback. I think he presents as a mid-round NFL prospect. Obviously, not as tall as the NFL quarterbacks or as the NFL prospects would like, NFL scouts, would like. But I think Jackson Dart is going to really have a strong season with Ole Miss. So I think that he's just good enough to beat somebody that he's not really supposed to beat. Oh yeah. Look at this, my man Tyler White. Yes, exactly. You look at the long touchdown run against Arkansas, you cannot help but see shades of Lamar Action Jackson. Look, you're going to go man-to-man coverage against Alabama? Jalen Milroe is going to eat your ass alive. He's going to eat you alive. And so you're going to have a great spy or a great defensive game plan to deal with his athleticism. But I just cannot put him any higher than 7th. Like I said, the talent in this league is absurd. And we continue with number 5. Number 5 is Will Rogers from Mississippi State. Will Rogers, number 5. You think, Joe, you're crazy. Will Rogers at almost 4,000 yards passing last year. 68% completion, 35 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Look, we're not going to have, rest in peace, Mike Leach. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. Thank you, sir, for everything you gave to the sport of football. as a coach, as a character, as an innovator, absolutely. Now, Will Rogers is still a good player, and he's going to probably have a good season with Mississippi State. But Mississippi State, we all know, look, it's Mississippi State. He's probably going to be their best piece. And you saw last year, what was it, 49-3? That was just off the top of my head. It was a blowout against Mississippi State last year. Alabama beat the brakes. SSI, PPI, State versus Alabama. It was a blowout against Mississippi State last year, and I expect that to continue going into. Look, it's not going to be pretty. 30-6, yeah, 30-6. Excuse me, 30-6 last year against Mississippi State. Look, Will Rogers, you're a good little player. You're gonna be keep your team in some games, but you're not going to be good enough to win and compete in the SEC West. I'm sorry. Now we continue, and this is where it gets interesting. I got four quarterbacks left. Two with heavy experience. Well, two with great experience, and two with almost no experience at all. So how are we going to order our top four? How are we going to order our top four? Number 4, give me KJ Jefferson as my 4th best quarterback in the SEC this season. Oh, KJ Jefferson, and a lot of people, Arkansas fans, are going to come shoot me for this. But KJ Jefferson, your accuracy sucks. Your accuracy is not good. Yes, 2,600 yards last year, 68% completion, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You can run the football, almost 700 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns for KJ Jefferson. Look, he's a heck of an athlete. He's a good athlete, and he's going to be hard to bring down in the pocket. Big old boy. But KJ Jefferson, you make bad decisions. You make bad decisions, and you're inaccurate. I don't have any faith in you taking Arkansas to the next level. I'm sorry, I just don't. But no, I have to respect you because you're a senior, because you've done it in this league before. You've shown athletic traits. And so, look, I give you your proper due, but I cannot put you in the top 3 of the conference because I don't think that you have what it takes to elevate Arkansas to that next level, to a championship level team. So, KJ, I'm sorry, but I put you at number 4. Number three, oh gosh, this man's barely taken any snaps. Number 3, I have... Yes, Carson Beck, that fella, over Jalen Milroe, over Jackson Dart. I have him over a lot of big-name players who have already had great experience. Carson Beck, only 300 yards passing last year, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 74% completion. Now, do I think Carson Beck is like an amazing player? I don't know. But I think that the Georgia offense is very effective and hard to stop. And I think it makes it almost easy to play quarterback. I think Carson Beck presents a very accurate quarterback. You watch what little mop-up he was in last year, and it was a screen pass left, a screen pass left, right, dump it off to a running back, dump it off to a tight end. That's all the Georgia offense is going to be. Anyways, if you got Brock Bowers out there, you're just going to make Brock Bowers your number 1 receiver. I'm praying for SEC defenses because Brock Bowers is... oh my gosh. Brock Bowers is Travis Kelce. Brock Bowers is George Kittle. Brock Bowers is going to be an unstoppable force in the SEC. And I think Carson Beck, his ability to play behind an offensive line, I think Georgia is going to continue to run a physical style of offense and continue to run play action passing. I think they're going to make it really easy on Carson Beck. So I have him at number 3. I think he's going to have a very high completion percentage. He's not going to lose a lot of games for Georgia. But again, I don't think he's going to be put under a whole lot of pressure. You look at Georgia's schedule, we've talked about it in the summer. It's baby butt soft. It is so soft. I don't know that Carson Beck's going to be challenged too much. And so at the end of the year, I think Carson Beck's going to be standing as one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. And that really makes me nervous, makes me upset as a Georgia fan because, look, Stetson Bennett, I don't think was overly talented. Great leader, understood the offense very well. Sneaky athletic. Yes, you say that for the little white guy. Sneaky athletic. But I think Carson Beck is a better quarterback than Stetson Bennett was, just as talent goes. A little bigger, better arm. I think he can see the field a bit better. So that is a scary proposition if Georgia is going to be better at the quarterback position. Number two. I've got Joe Milton, number 2. Oh, where's my buzzer? Joe Milton, number 2. Joe Milton barely taking any snaps last year. barely taking any snaps last year behind Hendon Hooker. Obviously, Hendon Hooker losing the ACL. Oh, terrible. Still getting drafted by the Detroit Lions. Have a great season. Congratulations. I got Joe Milton, number 2, 971 yards last year in mop-up duty and in secondary action with 64% completion, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Has the ability to run. Didn't show it a ton last year. 77 rushing yards on 18 attempts. Joe Milton comes in at my number 2 for several reasons. And you can say, oh, gosh, you haven't seen him. He hasn't taken any snaps, blah, blah, blah. What is he going to do? Look, the Josh Heupel offense is a quarterback's carnival. It's a quarterback's delight. You're going to spread the defense out and make it easy to read. And Joe Milton's athleticism. Look, Joe Milton, he's got a dadgum cannon. You've seen him throw those oranges, 80, 90 yards. You've seen him at quarterback camps flinging the ball. He has an absolute cannon. I think if Joe Milton just understands the Josh Heupel offense, then Tennessee's going to still be a heck of a team to play, a hell of a team to play. The problem with Tennessee is not only are they attacking you horizontally, but they attack you vertically down the field. And Joe Milton's arm strength allows you to really say, hey, that 50-yard zone down there, that 60-yard zone down there, that 40-yard zone, you have to play all 11 guys across literally the entire width and length of the entire of the field. And I think Joe Milton has the speed to kind of operate the same sort of way that Hendon Hooker operated. Look, when Tennessee played Alabama last year, you had, it was dime coverage. It was nickel coverage for Alabama. It was a lot of defensive backs in the game because of the spread out form. But you still had the 5 Tennessee offensive linemen right there in front, really establishing the run, making you respect the run. Absolutely. Making you respect the run, the quarterback read option, the play action game, sucking up Henry To'oTo'o. It's a brilliant offense. It's a brilliant offense that fits Joe Milton like a glove. And I think that if he is able to make strong decisions, that he will be able to pass to, that he will be able to pass it to wide open players, and he will have a very, very successful season. All right, number one, I hope I don't break your hearts, Alabama fans, but I am worried. I am worried. Number 1, my best quarterback going into 2023, Mr. Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, LSU, going into his senior year, right at 3,000 yards passing last year, 68% completion, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yeah, can run the football too. Almost 900 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns. Alabama fans, I don't have to remind you. I do not have to remind you at all. The last quarter down in Death Valley was horrible. It was I don't know what was worse, watching Tennessee towards the tail end of the game or watching the LSU offense towards the tail end of the game basically do whatever they wanted to the Alabama defense. Why? Because they had athletic quarterbacks who were able to use their athleticism, stress the defense, put them into terrible positions, and make plays. Jayden Daniels with Brian Kelly as his coach. Look, I think Brian Kelly, I know Josh Heupel's offense is very good, but I think Brian Kelly is probably 10% of a better coach than Josh Heupel. I think that Jayden Daniels, look, when we vote for media next week, I'm sorry, Alabama fans, I got to be honest. When we vote for SEC media next week, I'm probably going to vote LSU to win the West. They're easily they're bringing back a lot. They're bringing back a ton. I think that Jayden Daniels in his second year in the Brian Kelly offense, able to utilize his running ability, because look, the first couple of games last season, not that good. We remember all the issues between Daniels and Kayshon Boutte. Boutte, am I going to leave the team? Am I going to stay on the team? I'm going to transfer out and get ready for the draft. What am I going to do? Whatever. Jayden Daniels ended up picking up that offense very, very well. And LSU is going to have great athletes at the wide receiver position. So Jayden Daniels is my number 1 quarterback going into the 2023 season. Oh, Joe, hey, CJ Watson. No, I was late today, CJ. I appreciate you jumping in and tuning in for us today. I started a little late due to a meeting. We've been having a lot of fun, CJ, talking about Jeremy Pruitt and talking about your favorite program, Tennessee. And we just finished up wrapping up our ranking the SEC quarterbacks going into the 2023 season. So, look, that's going to pretty much do it for my day today. Let's go back over those rankings, and we'll set up the weekend and set up next week. 14-1, I go AJ Swan from Vanderbilt, Brady Cook from Missouri, Connor Weigman from A&M, Peyton Thorne from Auburn, Graham Mertz from Florida, Spencer Rattler from South Carolina, Devin Leary, Kentucky. Oh, yeah, number 7 is where I have you, Jalen Milroe. Number 7, Jalen Milroe at Alabama. Number 6, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. Number 5, Will Rogers, Mississippi State. Number 4, KJ Jefferson, Arkansas. Carson Beck at number 3 from Georgia. Joe Milton at number 2 from Tennessee. And Jaden Daniels, the best quarterback going into 2023 in the SEC. I sure hope by the end of the year that list is all shaken up. I hope Jalen Milroe rises into that top 3. Oh, maybe I'd like if Jaden Daniels and some of the Alabama rivals dropped. Honestly, let's be honest, I'd love it if Carson Beck ends up being in over his head. I just think that Georgia offense is so quarterback friendly, so quarterback conducive to make good reads and really influence the other defenses, making it easy on the Georgia quarterback to make good throws. So that's going to do it for our program today. If you missed any of the shows, you can listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. You can watch us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Sometimes we have a little visual gag, sometimes not, or you can make fun of my face. That is A-OK, my face for radio. Look, we're going to have a fun week next week. Next week, we're going up to Nashville. We're going up for SEC Media Days. I'll be there on Wednesday, and hopefully I believe we're going to talk to Kool-Aid. We're going to talk to Dallas Turner. We're going to talk to J.C. Latham right here on the program. Hopefully, if all goes well, we've got that it's kind of in the works. Now on Tuesday, I'm going to talk to John DeWitt. I'm talking to John DeWitt on Tuesday. You say, who the heck is that? That is the head groundskeeper at the University of Alabama, the head athletics groundskeeper. And what's he in charge of? Yeah, there's a big project going on at Bryant-Denny Stadium this summer. We're regrowing grass. We're planting new grass. So we're going to hear all about how that project is going, how that's going to affect the football season, what's different about the grass in Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're just going to hang out and talk some grass on Tuesday. The rest of the week is going to be pretty much wide open. SEC Media Days are obviously going to take the majority of our conversation. Wednesday, I plan and pray to bring you 3 conversations with Kool-Aid, with Dallas, and with JC. And then we'll see what else we can do the rest of the week, trying to hook up with the rest of our 2024 recruits that have committed to Alabama. Look, tomorrow, July 15th, Caleb Odom is going to be out there for a commitment. Caleb Odom has Alabama in his top 5, big-time tight end from Carrollton, Georgia, will be committing tomorrow. Look, Alabama moved from mid-20s right to number 10 in the recruiting rankings this week. Caleb Odom is making his choice tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing if he will become the newest member of the 2024 class. We can't wait for the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We are 50 days away from kickoff, so it's almost here. Hang on, guys. Hang on. SEC Media Days coming up soon next week. Stay locked into the program. Watch us on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook and on Twitter. Listen on Spotify, The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. Tell a friend about us, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy your family. Roll Tide. This has been another edition and another week of The Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.